From the center of the pixelated galaxy, this is ForceCenter, a show about Star Wars, pop culture, and the ultimate adventure. Life itself, I'm Ken Knapsack.
I'm Jen Landa. I'm probably pixelated.
We think you're Jen Landa.
Yeah. And yes, I'm maybe pixelated Joseph Scrimshaw. Pixelated in my heart.
You're clear on my end and clear in my heart. We are here for our weekly Star Wars Questions live stream. We're hanging out with all of you, an episode that we will release later as an audio podcast as well. We have a lot of people checking in. Joshua, Cameron, JMB, the lunch I just ate in 5 seconds is coming back up on me. Svetnik, a lot of you in here. As always, if you have super chats, questions that are just about anything in Star Wars or life, let us know. We'll pull those, but also we're talking today, Joseph, about our favorite camera shots in Star Wars.
Yes, we pull these questions. They give the title and the main focus of our live Q&A from our patrons on Patreon. A lot of great questions still to get to. But I pulled this one this week because it's something I've been wanting to do a Star Wars ranked episode on, Ken, for years and years. But when we do it as a ranked episode, that means I will spend 8 days doing research.
Right.
So when it came across, it's just like, it's a question and you have to answer it quickly on a live stream. I was like, damn, yes, that's perfect. So this question comes to us from James Pasqualucci, who says, hello there, ForceCenter. I was wondering what small shots or moments from the films mean the most to you, despite maybe not being as talked about in the larger fandom. For me, The Phantom Menace had many of these. I love the shot of the kids at the end celebration because I instinctively knew that this is what they were fighting for. I love the animals running away from the MTTs moments before Qui-Gon saved Jar Jar because it showed the disruption and horror of what the Trade Federation was doing to this peaceful world. That kind of thing. Excited to hear your thoughts. Thank you, James, for the question. People are already sharing their favorite shots, both the ones that James was talking about, maybe those smaller ones that not as many people pick up on, and also like the big ones that, come on, we can't not talk about the big ones. So I think this will probably be an hour of us all listing really cool shots of Star Wars and being like, yeah. So welcome to a probably not very controversial hour of Star Wars chat, I would imagine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love that. That's good. That's good Star Wars discussion board.
Yeah. So let's the three of us share a couple, and then we can kind of get into some of the great comments coming in from the chat. Jennifer, where do you start? What is a favorite shot in Star Wars for you?
Well, yeah, we're going to talk about the ones that are in the chat, which I'm like, yes. So I'll go away from that. So the first one I have is Rey eating her portion bread with the helmet on in Force Awakens, but specifically the wide shot where she's tiny next to the fallen AT-AT on Jakku. Beautiful, beautiful. Frame it. It's just so, I remember seeing that shot in the theater and just being blown away. It's a favorite. And how she's like, prior to that, the wide shot, the close up of her like chomping down on the bread. It's just so great.
It's so great. It would be easy to just focus on the like, oh, cool, an AT-AT or AT-AT or whatever you said in your head when you saw it. But it is just like, it's so evocative of where she is as a character, but also the story of like, she literally lives in the wreckage of the past and only has a very childlike, what if dreamy understanding of this story that she's going to learn so much about. It's such a beautiful shot.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Ken, what's one from you?
I'll get one of my favorites out of the way. Not out of the way because I love it. I've for years and years have just loved the rebel officer looking through his binoculars or binocular, whatever space term you want to come up with for it. But seeing that leg of the AT-AT and just scanning up and just, it chilled me as a kid. It still chills me now. And it's a tiny, tiny little moment. So I absolutely love that. Another one is Anakin Skywalker. Oh my God, is it Revenge of the Sith or Attack of the Clones? I think it's Revenge of the Sith. There's just that great shot of him on Padme's deck in the apartment overlooking Coruscant. And it's just, in a moment, it's a moment of, I guess, peace and tranquility a little bit, as much as you can have in Anakin's tortured soul, but just in a movie that is, dark and gloomy, and the end of a troubling chapter. It's a moment of peace I enjoy, and beauty.
Yeah, I mean, that's you're talking about Revenge of the Sith on her apartment in Coruscant, right?
Yes,
Because there's
yes.
also the great shot of him with his hands behind his back in Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
Which my father-in-law tried to take a nice picture of me at the mansion that my wife works at, and I happened to have my hands behind my back. He's like, "Yeah, I took a picture of you." He's like, "You took my Anakin having bad dreams about his mom photo." Thanks, father-in-law. It was just exactly that vibe. It's so great, so great. For me, one of the reasons that I've long wanted to have this conversation in all these years of Star Wars podcastery, I don't think I've gotten to go on about this shot from A New Hope, which I think is one of the best. A New Hope, obviously a troubled production, George literally fighting with the camera people to get the shots he wants. And there's this one shot that's just incredibly, I think, artistic, and it tells a story in the way it is shot. So the leaving the interrogation room scene with Leia, where the camera's outside the interrogation room, Vader leans in, the door slams down, but the camera moves with it and then picks up the feet of the guards and comes up to just this endless hallway of terror. That first Star Wars film has such an amazing balance of like, what's it about? Well, a young woman gets captured by who we later learn is her father, brutally physically tortured, and then her entire planet is destroyed in a genocide. But it's also a fun summer romp. So how do we tell the dark part? Like that camera shot tells you the dark part. Vader leans in, the slam down.
AKA the commercial spot in the TV version I had. I always loved that because it was like, time to go get something, time to fast forward and get a drink.
Yeah. So good. And so many great questions, not questions, great thoughts about various favorite shots. So let's take a look at a couple of those. Jen, do you see any that you want to pull that we've starred?
There are too many. Where was it? Go ahead. I lost it.
Here's I love this one here from Igor the Mad. A good prequel shot is the Phantom Menace when Kenobi and Qui-Gon are standing on the balcony watching the sun. Yeah, Coruscant. Coruscant's. I think you said the Coruscant one, right? It's a pretty spot. Even when Maul and Palpatine are overlooking the city, you're like, oh yeah, let's go down to a 24-hour diner, Texas, and get a sandwich.
Yeah, they're watching the traffic, and Kenobi's like, sorry, I pushed so hard.
Yeah,
it's great. There was one in here. Here's one that I don't have to list because Igor the Mad did. I'm very partial to Attack the Clones when Anakin is in front of the Sandcrawler at sunset. Beautiful composition and color grading. I really agree with that. So many of my favorite shots are things that are nonverbal, and a character is either in silhouette or a close-up, but in particular silhouette. There's just something about sometimes it's more emotionally resonant when we don't need the dialogue and we're filling in everything. And that Anakin's on his little detective journey and asking the Jawas, and it's just in the beauty of that shot what's happening. I love that. Jennifer, do you like some of those Attack of the Clones shots of Anakin's journey to find his mom? Because that's popping up a lot in our chat.
Yeah, sure.
Trying to lean into the controversy, so it's not just an hour of I love that too.
Yeah. I mean, no, Attack of the Clones I really do enjoy because it is more of like film noir, specifically with Camino, and I just love all of that part of it. But there are some beautiful shots that I forget. I need to rewatch it, is what I'm saying. Oh, I got one here.
Yeah.
Michael McCarcel. It's almost a cliche at this point, with some people liking the Vader hallway scene for all the wrong reasons, but god damn, him igniting his lightsaber at the end of the hall just hits. Michael, I agree. This was on my list. I don't know why. It's like, I guess why people like horror films. Whenever I watch that scene, and sometimes I'll come across it and I'll just be like, I have to watch this. It's thrilling. It's terrifying because I like to imagine myself being there. What would I do? It's almost like a video game where he's like the big boss and I'd have to defeat him, which I'm assuming I would be dying 20 times. But the way that's shot with the music, fantastic. Oh, I should say this is from Rogue One.
Yeah. the first time I saw it, I was really hoping to see Vader in action, and I was really distracted at the end of the film, going, "Come on, come on, come on!" And I think I cheered in the theater when Vader's like, "I'll go handle it personally." He's like, "Yes, please." I so wanted this, and then the woman in front of me just shouted, "Oh, S word!" when that moment hit, when Vader ignited the blade. I think it's so effective because it is Vader, and it's everything that we know. But it is the same way in a horror film where somebody is like freaked out, something's not right, and then they get a glimpse of the monster, and it's scary because it's a monster. But it's also like, that is not in my ken. That is outside of the natural order. Like, I don't think like that those rebel guards are a bunch of Beaumont kins going, a Sith with a tortured kyber crystal. It's like, that's a monster that's going to kill me, and it's unnatural and ancient and whispered of, and oh my God.
I love that one. I love also a good Jonathan with just a good direct answer. Luke versus the Guerrilla Walkers, Last Jedi. Come on now. Yeah, that's a come on now. That's a piece of art for a reason. Love that.
Yeah.
One, this made me think of one, and I know it's we're talking camera shots, and so you could approach it like the cinematography, the composition, or the moods it creates and the little moments. I think this is fun to go anywhere. Nick made me think of one. He said the pod race point of view shots to the caves made me think the pod race, and one that has been my favorite, but it was also connected to a moment of controversy that we discuss a lot here. It's the kind of that wide shot of everyone carrying the pod race flags and the music swelling, and it is unfortunately or fortunately connected to the Eopie moment. So I remember my friends and I back in '99 going, "I love that. Oh, why did George do that?" Don't worry about that now. That shot of just 3PO carrying the flags, the music swelling. I love that little moment. I look forward to watching it every time I put on Phantom Menace.
Yeah, no, that is absolutely great. Jennifer, do you have another either from the comments or from yourself?
Yeah, this one from Eli. I mean, this is also incredibly cliche, but there's a reason we're still talking about the twin sun shot in A New Hope to this day. Like, come on. This is also on my list. This one I think I have as my screensaver on my phone. It is just, it's the combination of the shot, the colors, the story, and the music. It's just perfection. And I still like tear up every time, no matter how many times I've seen that scene, which just is, or even hear the music. I visualize that shot. So
yeah,
it's a fave.
Yeah, I mean, that whole scene is amazing. But one of the things that really amazes me about it, having tried to pause it to take a screenshot of the shot, the wide shot of Luke in the background, look at the twin suns. That shot is barely held. Like, he barely gets into the famous position with the legs slightly up before we cut to his face. And it's just such a great, especially as I'm working on editing right now, thinking through like, how many seconds does a shot need to land to stay in your soul? Like, that shot barely establishes. It's there as he walks up, but once he pops into place, it cuts almost immediately. And yet it like lives in our minds and souls as one of the most important shots of Star Wars. Fascinating.
Yeah, Eric Elliott brings up one that I'm sure we discussed too. Leia's the eyes of Leia on Crate. One of my favorites, one of our favorite. I think I had tried to start. It's like 1.4 seconds. That's all you need. And just the shot that stands out. There's an entire sequence around it, of course, different angles, but just that shot with that there, it's like 1.4 seconds. And to your point, Joseph, like sometimes it's all you need to tell a lifetime of stories. If you do it right.
Yeah, incredibly powerful. One I want to throw in there from the Phantom Menace, speaking of perspective shots, I love the shot because it's incredibly effective, incredibly rare. We don't have a ton of perspective shots in Star Wars of like literally switching to a character's perspective. There's the moment in Phantom Menace where Anakin is getting ready to leave, and he's very callously telling 3PO, like, I'll tell Mom not to sell you, bye. And that is from 3PO's perspective. And it doesn't come across anywhere near as heartless if it wasn't from 3PO's perspective. So it's like a really weird, like, this is not standard to the visual language of Star Wars or the Phantom Menace. Most perspective shots, like people are talking about, are on ships or from ships. But this is 3PO's heartbreak perspective shot, Anakin leaving him. So cool.
Oh, poor 3PO. 3PO.
Yeah.
Another one I love, you mentioned some of the Rey stuff, Jen, going to Last Jedi. Rey in the Rain, that handout feeling the rain.
Oh,
And that kind of ongoing, from I never thought that I could see so much green to that to Pisana, the smile, kind of being reminded in a moment about the life around her and why she's fighting for this stuff. I just love that rain moment. And same, Ray, same. I still do that in the rain. It rains, I go stand outside. So I love that. Love that view. Love that shot.
Yeah, absolutely. Jen, do you see any others that you want to grab? I know there's a lot coming in.
Yeah, since we're talking about The Last Jedi, Michael McCarcel, I think if I had to pick one, Rey and Kylo back to back as they fight against the Praetorian Guard begins is up there as one of my favorite shots. That whole sequence. And I have a friend who was like, I'm not so sure about the red and the color scheme. I was like, what? That's the best part of like the visuals of that, and just like how Matrix like their fighting style was, just everything. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think an interesting thing about that shot is the slight slowdown there to really establish the. Are we doing this? Are we in this together? Oh, we're fighting together. All right,
just enough time for the Led Zeppelin to kick in. That's why I like this.
Yes,
or whatever. Yeah, the got to get mashed up with the song from the Andor teaser trailer. Yeah, people feel like that fits. JMB has posted this one twice because he wants to make sure that we see it.
Yes,
Don't worry, JMB. We're trying to keep up with them all. So JMB says, my favorite is Ahsoka's first live action appearance in season 2, episode 5 of The Mandalorian. The way she's like a ghost in the middle of the forest picking off Morgan's henchmen, like she was some kind of horror monster, and then fades away into the mist. Yeah, I think that's one of the shots that's like cool action, but it also is very evocative of where she's at as a person of this is the way I'm going about being a Jedi right now. And I'm not kind of living a full life. I'm a ghost in the mist emotionally, as well as literally while kicking ass.
I love that one.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff season 2 of Mando. I just remember going, oh, that's a great shot. Even season 1, when he's repairing himself, what is that, chapter 2? It's the first time it kind of, he's repairing his armor and Grogu keeps popping out. It's a fun scene, but just the sunset in the background, everything, those little kind of moments where the volume really, really works. And I think it only got better from there. So I love that stuff too.
Yeah, even in episode 5 of season 1, there's some really good Tatooine shots that use the volume. Yeah, can you see another one that you'd like to grab?
Yeah, buddy Brian Ward checking in, says the standoff in Enfys Nest shows up on Severine is great too. Love all that stuff. Love the look of the Severine sequence. I just love that sequence for Enfys Nest and all the things it means. But just the, in a movie that I don't know if you've heard this, has a lot of Western connections, has the genre of the Western all through it. I love just the classic lean into it. Great promotion shot. Everything is very Han Solo in a pulp novel look and feel to me.
Yeah, hey, and Star Wars has had a lot of those good Western / samurai duels with the two shot of the wide with the characters on the farthest end of the frames. I think the Twin Sons episode of Rebels with Kenobi and Maul is maybe my favorite of that. And then the perspective shot with the weapon in the foreground and the combatant in the background. There's a great one with Rey in Rise of Skywalker, getting the blade ready. One with Han and Enfys Nest on Savareen is fantastic. I agree with Brian.
Love that. Serenity Jane brings us up. Can I say something for animation? Well, of course, absolutely. Joseph just mentioned Twin Sons. So many beautiful things there. Omega stands there in the rain, looking at her dad / brothers, and hugs Crosshair. The animation does a great job. The sequence that show, as every week on our breakdown, Joseph and I had to first apologize and then stop apologizing for how beautiful that show is.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, fantastic. Jennifer, you see others want to grab?
Yeah, from Nick. Are we allowed cuts? Return of the Jedi tree gets hit and splinters. Hard cut to Blockade Runner and the battle above. Keep up the great work. And a good fight. Thank you. That is such a great sequence. That's a great cut.
Yes. Yeah. We could do we could do best cuts because controversial. I don't think Return of the Jedi is filmed as well as some of the other Star Wars films, particularly coming off of Empire Strikes Back, in my opinion.
That's true. Yeah.
But the editing of those shots in Return of the Jedi, my other favorite is I got an idea. Smash cut to the sabers clashing.
Yes,
Chef's
yes.
kiss. Yeah.
Oh, so many good ones.
That is, yeah. God, we could just do them in Jedi alone. Just, yeah. No, I love it. Yeah, love that. That Splitter moment was one of the ones my friends and I, when you think you're the only one seeing it, that unique shared journey we all have as Star Wars fans, like we'd be in early high school going, oh, yeah, the splinters on that tree, and then you cut to the space battle. Yay. And we use those voices too.
Yay. And every time I see a downed tree, I'm like, that's so sad, but also looks kind of cool. I'm like, gonna laser hit it.
Yes, indeed.
Ken, do you see another one you'd like to grab?
Yeah, our buddy Daniel Falconer. Check out his book, The Art of the War of the Rohirrim. So many of the shots are also tied to the music in those same moments. I agree with that. I think of the gorgeous shot of the X-Wing soaring through the Rebel fleet shortly before they all jump to hyperspace. Speaking of playground moments, oh, God, yeah, that's a moment I try to recreate with my figures or my Y-Wing, just flying around my backyard, just thinking of that moment. On a flip side, jump into Rogue One. The shot, it's about the music. Your father would be proud. Everything, the weight going on. We've just kind of experienced a lot of stuff. Or we're going to experience the stuff with Vader. But just that shot of the ships flying over to basically get Raddus, to head on over to the ship, and just the kind of that wide shot of them going over and the music playing, and none of it feels good. It's a dark time, but it's also heroic. So I love that stuff. So great stuff, Daniel.
And if sunlight makes a shot interesting, how about lava? Lots of people have been talking about lava. Michael McCarthy said also one of Anakin and Obi-Wan's clashes from the lava exploding in the background as they fight across a skinny platform. Yeah, as much as I love all of the lightsaber clashing moments, and it's such a big part of the promo, there's the one shot where they've just grabbed each other's wrists and they're kind of tussling back and forth as the lava goes off behind them. And there's something about it, like, it isn't funny, but there's something about it. It's not even as cool as lightsaber clashing. It's just these two people wrestling, and just like sort of like the sadness and the futility of the unnecessariness of this fight that Anakin has caused. There's something about it, of them just wrestling over lava. Come on, guys, work it out.
Love that. One that popped in mind. You and I, for years, Joseph, have made reference to the Bail Organa's fist pump of frustration, the end of Attack of the Clones. But a lot of that stuff there, and overlooking the clones and the cruisers, everything taken off. There's something about those shots too I love, that are epic but also foreboding.
Yeah. Jennifer, how do you feel about the lava? Do you gravitate to those?
I mean, I love Revenge of the Sith. Is my favorite, I think, of the prequels. I love anything with lava and danger. That's why I like that Netflix show where they have to, what is it? The floor is lava.
Yep.
Did you play that when you were a kid?
Epic.
Oh yeah, my kids play it on rainy days where they're like, "Oh, kid," and then they tell me, they're like, "Mom, you're dying in the lava." I'm like, "I have special shoes."
That is very funny.
Mom shoes.
I played it as a kid, and then it got real when I lived in Portland and Mount St. Helens exploded. It suddenly became very, very much more real. Like, the floor is lava, and there's literally ash all over the car.
Oh, that's scary.
Yeah.
Good stuff here.
Yeah, go ahead, Ken. You want to grab it?
Yeah, our buddy Molly Damon checking in. Enjoyed the chest cam shots of SM-33 and Skeleton Crew, where he gets switched to attack mode. Very unique shot that is super uncommon in Star Wars. Yeah, I love that, kind of breaking the norms there. That was the Daniels, right? Was that their episode? So that makes a lot of sense for them doing something a little different. Yeah, I love that shot too. Similar to, like talk about with the 3PO shot too. Love a little pushing the boundaries of what we expect with Star Wars.
We used to include that in some of our review episodes, but then our review episodes were becoming 42 hours long. But maybe for our Andor discussion, we can throw in a favorite shot or two, because I think I used to pay a little bit more attention to the television episodes, because there's a lot of great work in those.
Really is.
Skeleton Crew had so many great shots. I mean, the one that we referenced often was this, the sweeping, what is it? The jib of the shot of the Suburbia. I just love that shot, just because it was so nostalgic, but also felt so new to Star Wars. There were so many great shots in Skeleton Crew when they discovered the treasure, the pirate treasure. Love that sequence.
Yeah, just
Looking up.
Jod when he gets the lightsaber at the end of
Oh,
that episode. So good.
so good.
Yeah, some of the looking up at the barrier, both when it's going off or not working, or when it clears. Beautiful stuff.
Throw this one out from Molly as well. There's a lot of Last Jedi love. The aerial shots of Crate with all the red markings in The Last Jedi are great too. Yeah, I think that's just
Oh,
it's so well designed and so well shot to just sort of be evocative of like this planet is bleeding
mm.
from salt.
Indeed. Svetnik had one here going to Andor. All the prisoners swimming away from Narkina 5 prison. I love that the prison looks like the Imperial cog and they're swimming to freedom. It is a great shot. Just doing my rewatch last month and just you're getting pulled into the emotions of that arc and that scene and I was really in it and just that it's truly a moment of beauty. Even though the survival chances are pretty slim, I think there. I think it's in my mind more survived than just Melshi and Cassian. But I just love taking those moments in Star Wars to see the big picture.
Here's some more love for television work. Best camera shot has to be the continuous shot directed by Bryce Dallas Howard at the beginning of Chapter 5 of Book of Boba Fett. Yeah, that whole sequence, it really does. We talked about a bunch. I love how it is just like butchery and then feeling like he's, not just, I don't know how to work this sword yet. Just his life is butchery.
Yeah. Yeah. Not in a bad spot. No, not in a good spot. Not a good spot.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have one here.
Yeah.
Janie from Tahini in Return of the Jedi, when the door lifts and you see the Rancor's eyes glint in the dark, and the look Luke gets on his face always stuck with me. It's just fearful disbelief. There are so many. I mean, I know that's not like Empire Strikes Back. It's like you could freeze frame everything and it could be put into art, right? But Return of the Jedi has so many great moments like this that are just so memorable. And they still play well with kids today. That terror. I was thinking of the shot with Luke when he walks into Jabba's palace and the music is very ominous. And I remember it's like, you don't know. Is it someone to help? Is it someone to do something bad? Just great. So many moments like that.
Yeah, some good Return of the Jedi moments. Ken, you got something you want to pull?
Well, piggybacking on that, Piggy Rancorin on that, Svetnik says Luke hiding under the stairs in Return of the Jedi, the half of his face in the shadows is great. And yes, of course, there's great meaning behind it all. And the shot of him after he makes the decision to jump out, it's a classic. And I've always kind of thought my favorite shot in Star Wars was that even though as a kid I'm like, yeah, Luke, and not understanding he may have slipped to the dark side just a little bit, but everything about that, yeah. And again, talk about the music, without a doubt it's hard to separate everything, parse it out in Star Wars, but that's a beautiful moment of Svetnik.
Yeah. There's a couple other Return of the Jedi ones here to pull out. Nick says Luke clenching his fist in Return of the Jedi as Vader lies before him. So much symbolism, and always seemed grainier than the shots around it. Like the lighting wasn't quite right, but they chose the take anyway. Yeah, I don't know technically what's going on in that shot, but that is a fascinating shot because even with all of the Blu-ray upgrades, it is a little bit grainier. I think it might be a focus issue that they can't upgrade it, but it works because it's like Luke is out of focus and coming into focus again, whatever's going on with that. But yeah, the whole sequence obviously with his glove and realizing who he's becoming. Jennifer, is that been a powerful moment for you in Return of the Jedi?
Every moment is powerful. I love it. I just love reliving every single moment. It is just, to me, it's perfection. I don't care what anyone says.
It is an adult. I think like there's a risk of that moment of the close up of Vader's severed steaming hand and Luke, looking at his own mechanical hand and the sound design of hearing the whirring. That is like, is it too on the nose? Like, no, it's a myth. It's a parable, and I think it's so well done to just in visual storytelling make what he's feeling and thinking crystal clear is great. Ken, do you have hand thoughts when it comes to Return of the Jedi?
No, I love it. I love the repeat of the angle in the Last Jedi sequences with Kylo, where Ben. Yeah, I'm gonna go because even Steve's saying looks like they cropped it for post for the shot, so the resolution is a little crunched. Huh? I'm gonna throw on a Blu-ray and find out. Find out for myself. I think I've been looking at Luke's face too much.
Right.
A couple in sync here. We got buddy Brian Tiller here. A few from Force Awakens. Rey on her speeder right in front of the down destroyer. I wasn't in the room for that in Anaheim, but to hear the reaction to just that shot, but seeing it in the trailer, it was awe-inspiring and wonderful. And then TIE fighters emerging through the setting sun, which is also what David McKay said as well. The TIE fighter sunset in Force Awakens. So agree with that. So agree with that. There were so many thoughts a lot of us had about and positive thoughts about the X-wings in atmosphere and flying. I thought they really got the dogfights looking great, but just those moments were about the what we're talking about, the beauty, the small beauty of Star Wars moments. So love the TIE fighter stuff.
The X-wings skimming the lake is fantastic.
Oh, yeah,
too.
It's the resistance.
Jen, do you see any other thing you'd like to grab?
This is a good one from JMB. I love the shot of Bo-Katan in the ruins of her castle, alone on her throne. Here again, on the nose, but it's powerful. It's such a powerful image, and yeah, I love that shot.
Yeah, it makes you feel it in her great body language that people have talked about.
Yes, love Katie Sackhoff.
And I'm the person that went viral on TikTok with the Bo-Katan videos and memes. It was great. Great.
Really agree with everybody having so many kind words for Last Jedi. I think it's filmed really beautifully, but I think that there is a ton in Rise of Skywalker that I really appreciate. In particular, I think J.J. Abrams was talking about wanting to bring Rise of Skywalker back to real core Star Wars themes, and I think a part of that energy and that pacing that doesn't always work for everybody, but I really like is the camera's in motion a ton. There are a bunch of swooping shots. There's a great hallway battle with Finn and Poe, and that the camera's moving and Finn's jumping over a stormtrooper who's falling downstairs. It's just it gives so much life to it. But I think one of my favorite shots is when Ben joins Rey. Camera swoops around and they both bring up the lightsabers in unison. Like that's a great shot to give it energy and motion, and then end on that definitive beat of unison of the blades coming up together. That's one of my favorite shots in all of Star Wars.
Yeah, I see a lot of fan art over that. I love that. I am I remember I got a text from my friend and he's pretty positive about Rise of Skywalker, but he just texted me like that lightning shot when the Force lightning's going up from Palpy's hands up into space, and he's like, I just keep thinking about that. So absolutely want to celebrate that moment too.
Ken, you have another one you want to grab?
Sure. We got Bryce Sprinkle. The 501st marching on the Jedi Temple is too iconic not to mention. Really agree with that. It is dark and ominous and all the things you want to connect to the fall of Anakin, but it's also one of those moments where you're like, yeah, Star Wars, right? Like I love everything about it.
Yeah, to the point that Rian Johnson paid tribute to it in The Last Jedi.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. Let's see. Svetnik also said this one here. How to describe the shot other than the trap shot in Return of the Jedi? Just after there's a trap and the fleet scatters, there's a shot of the Falcon flying away and the cast behind it. So many of those moments too. There's too many of them, and the fighters flying at it. It was at the right time, perhaps for all of us. But Jen, I know you and I, are in that spot of Joseph had like 1 or 2 more years to be like, that's what happened to Boba Fett. Like, we got it. But I just at 7 was in the right spot to be everything in that Battle of Endor. That's why the splinters resonate. That's why, going up to seeing the everything went flying through it, or just even the ships going into the Death Star and Nine Numb laughing. It all works there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great that people are shouting out the effects shots, VFX and old school model making and compositing, and some of the modern digital stuff, because it's still shots. The one in Return of the Jedi that I love is kind of a perspective shot, the absolute swarm of TIE fighters coming at them.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember if it lines up exactly this way in the film, but in one of the Rogue Squadron video games, you basically experience that shot where all of the TIE fighters are swarming at you, and there's a line of dialogue of like, I think they're in sector 24/7. That's not right, but I can't remember what the sector is, but I always remember it because it's like, yeah, they probably are because they're everywhere. It's a swarm. They're in all sectors. Thank you very much.
Yeah. You know, the editing of Return of the Jedi is really, it holds up today. And because when I saw the movie last year on Star Wars Day, you know, there were a lot of kids in the audience who are who used to like very quick pacing, right? And with Return of the Jedi, going back and forth between the battles, it works so well to keep young kids' attention, which I really appreciated.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it's masterful. Jennifer, you have any others that you want to grab?
Ken, yes. Which shots did you find new appreciation for after getting to see the films in widescreen again in the 90s after endless pan and scan TV home video viewings? For me, it was A New Hope, the desert shots. It just was like, that was my Lawrence of Arabia. My dad always used to talk about seeing Lawrence of Arabia on the big screen when he was younger. And that to me was just like, oh, this is what the movies are. And that's what Star Wars is cinematic, old Hollywood.
Yeah, Ken?
Yeah, I don't have any that jump to mind. I don't recall, you know, it's so long ago. I'm going to enter some special edition shot. You know, where we got to see them going into, but yeah, I definitely know they're there. And growing up, my copy of New Hope was one that we taped off TV. So that's why I remember those commercial moments a lot too. But yeah, I love that. It's fascinating too, just going, Darth Vader was there when the Obi-Wan lightsaber was happening? Oh, okay. They were close. They were right in the same scene.
Yeah. Yeah, the little beats and jokes that I can't remember what, you know, I missed or that. But I think for me, I will use this to talk about Empire Strikes Back because we haven't talked a ton. Rich Rodriguez shares, I think, my age and my feelings. Who says, I know it's a cliche, especially for us olds, but to me, the best shots in Star Wars are in The Empire Strikes Back. Peter Shushutsky was a cinematographer, and his sense of composition is unmatched. And to answer Ken Plume's question, is like, I think I just appreciated the quality of the shots in Empire Strikes Back more, getting to see them. Like a lot of the Cloud City stuff, a lot of the, you know, Bespin Chamber. It isn't like I was watching pan and scan, so what was going on? I missed this corner thing in the corner. It's just the shots are more powerful. I used one of them for the thumbnail for this, the silhouette of Vader and Luke in the carbon freezing chamber. Just Vader up there by himself is fantastic. But Luke walking up those stairs, they haven't ignited the blades. They're just staring at each other in those shadows. The orange and the teal has become like overused in cinema, but it formed me back in 1980 and all those viewings. It's so beautiful. And that whole silhouette thing, they are those characters having that relationship, father and son, about to do violence to each other. But anytime I think you pull back to silhouette, it makes it sort of iconic. And it's sort of like, I'm watching Luke and Vader, but I'm also watching good and evil. I'm watching the hubris of youth versus the you know, anger of the aged. Like there's so much in that one image, and you only really get the full power of it when it's wide.
Yeah. And about Peter Shushutsky, God, this was back when I was still working at Collider. I remember there was a great article talking about Empire and how he basically established how to shoot Vader going forward and how to do it. And obviously you had Gil Taylor and his team, but it's different in New Hope. Not bad, it's different. And early, but how Empire kind of set the tone for here's how you do it. Here's how you do it. And it's beautiful. All the stuff on the Star Destroyer. And hard, you know, you got light reflecting, everything. How do you put all that together? So correct to call it out.
And it's for Empire, I think another huge thing that sets it apart for me is partially shots, the director's choice to get the shots, but also the editing. The amount of huge emotion in Empire Strikes Back because we just linger on a character's face after the heart of the scene is done. Han, it's a great scene when Han and Luke don't know exactly what to say to each other when they part, but just lingering on Han's face and seeing in those seconds that he cares that much about Luke. It's kind of endless little moments like that in Empire where we just linger on a character's face for an extra second. It's fantastic.
Really agree with that. Really agree with that. Yeah, and that's a fine line, right? If you're putting together a movie, when's too long and when's just enough. They found it every time. Every time.
Jennifer, do you have any faves from Empire?
Oh my! As you're talking, I'm just thinking, the Battle of Hoth. There are so many, when people talk about Star Wars and online and they're pulling photos or movie stills, a lot of the times, even if they're just talking generically about Star Wars, are stills from The Empire Strikes Back, because you have so many iconic images of, Vader's hand reaching out to Luke, or the AT-ATs in Hoth, or, the beauty of Bespin and Cloud City, just or the chamber. Oh my gosh, it's like you could go on and on and on. There is a reason that that's considered the best Star Wars. It's true. As much as I love Return of the Jedi, it's a masterpiece. Because it's not just about cool shots, right? It's not just about, I'm going to do this really cool camera angle. It's telling the story. It's all telling the story. There is a purpose behind every single shot. That's hard to do.
I think it's become even more of a fascinating thing to have directors who I need this shot to make, because it's what the characters are feeling, to make the audience feel what the characters are feeling, because of the way television filming has exploded to become much more cinematic the last 10, 15 years. There's kind of endless cool shots. A random episode of CSI will have a cool shot, but it does not make me feel anything different about the scene. And that's what's so fantastic about Empire Strikes Back, is every shot makes you feel something.
It does indeed. Jumping wildly, but Kenobi and himself on the stabby rock planet, holding up all those rocks, his hands outstretched and everything, just this moment of power, looking up at him there. A great moment, in Kenobi being so close to your heart, Joseph. It's still a fun but also complicated moment, right? He's powerful. He's back. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do, Kenobi?
Yeah, thank you for reminding me. That I wanted to shout out that too of Deborah Chow and the cinematographer making a really wild non-Star Wars choice. That final confrontation between Vader and Kenobi, the dialogue is shaky handheld cam. Suddenly Kenobi and Vader are in the office, and that was a brave choice, and it shouldn't work, but it does, because the shot reflects the emotion. It's all of that emotion that's been building up over all these years, and it makes sense to have them in handheld, which is not standard at all for Star Wars.
No, not at all. I did love when Anakin looked over and blinked twice at the camera at the awkward moment. Yeah, it was great. No, but you're absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Yeah, and great play and discovery with when the sabers come up and down and how it changes the lighting on their faces, as we've discussed and all that.
John Roberts has. Sorry.
No.
John Roberts has another TV one, Thrawn's Chimera, coming into view in Ahsoka, classic Star Wars shot, coupled with the anticipation of his live action debut. Yeah, it had a self-awareness I appreciated of here he comes. Here he comes. Thrawn's coming. Pro wrestling. It was a WrestleMania entrance. It was everything there, and I love that. And that's where Dave the fan comes through in flying colors there, literal flying colors. Love that.
Jen, you have any more you want to grab?
I'm trying to see. I was getting lost in thought here. There's so many.
Well, we'll bring you here. I'll stall. You look at the end of the Bad Batch. Says Genie from Tahini has this amazing shot of Rex and Wolf having a standoff. There's a faraway shot in front of a rushing waterfall lit just by the ship's lights. It's beautiful. Yes, and God, you even thinking stuff of Crosshair and Cody, right, at the wall, and a lot of those shots there all through. I mean, again, we keep going back to it, but I should have just made a list today. The Outpost episode. God. The Outpost. So many wonderful shots in that.
Yeah. The Space Vulture circling shots. That in the Outpost episode. Yeah, that's the Outpost. Yeah, that's so great. The the Storm episode of the Bad Batch where Tech and Omega have their heart-to-heart about Tech. Like, I do feel these things, I just process them differently. There's so many great shots of the Storm in the distance, and
Yeah. Indeed. So, Jeannie, that was great. All right, Jen, I stalled. Your turn to order. The waiter's here. The waiter's going to take your order.
That's why I always have to figure out the menu ahead of time. I'm one of those. I research ahead of time on Yelp.
That's smart. That's
So
smart.
we don't hold anyone up. Tim Cool.
Tim Cool.
I'm sorry.
He's
I would
cool.
probably with the classic Vader's TIE Advanced with TIE Fighter's frontal shot and the trench run scene. Yes, I love that. Love the shot with Paige Tico's eye close-up. It's so beautiful. The Last Jedi, it's my favorite. Although I love Force Awakens and Rise of Skywalker, there's just something about The Last Jedi and that shot with Paige Tico. Oh my gosh. And then to see her unfortunate demise, I think I actually like teared up during that sequence, but it really is because of that shot of the eye close-up. So
it's a little short film, right? It's a little short film with the story that I love so much.
Her catching it is incredibly well shot and edited too, where you think that she did not, but she did. Triumphant.
Yeah, even that little moment of the X-wing, X-wing's underneath it, kind of going the slow motion. Yeah, we got some other. Well, if you guys out there have any other general questions, we got a couple starred here from J&B and Mumbo Jimbo. We'll answer at the end of the show. So if you have those super chats to get our attention, and that we will get to that. But otherwise, we enjoy taking your shots here as your shot choices here as well.
And we'll do a double Tim Cool feature. You don't want to miss this one from Return of the Jedi, which we haven't talked about. The one which stands out and probably many would acknowledge is the shot with the Emperor laughing and two lightsabers clashing in Return of the Jedi. Yeah, great shot and also great cut. But yeah, that is like, he wants you to fight. He's so happy you are. This guy loves conflict.
Yeah, absolutely love that too. It's a lot of, and I know a lot of these are shots that you could almost just say are little tiny moments, but it's all the same to me. It's all the same answer. I think of those often, the moments. This guy's come up a few times. Box Office Jack, the shot of Kanan holding back the flames, looking to Hera and seeing her one last time. I write often of that episode, and have talked often of that episode. I was still full time over at Collider, and like the next day at the office, all them nerds, all them pro nerds, we were all hanging around, and there was just this like sadness. It was an emotional gut punch. Even though, you could have said, oh, yeah, I knew he was going to die and everything. The way it was pulled off and shots like this and moments like that, it worked.
Incredibly great. Grabbing this from Tommy Steinbrecker, but other people have been mentioning it. If it hasn't been mentioned yet, the scene of Vader's reflection in the helmet in the very last scene from the Clone Wars is great. Yeah. There's a ton of great shots in that whole sequence. I think just Vader with igniting the blue blade. But yeah, that final shot is a great summary of the Clone Wars, of being on the helmet of the actual clones and their former friend walking away, Vader.
So many great visuals from the Clone Wars. Of course, my favorite, the Night Sisters arc. I just love it. I just love it. Everything with Savage Opress and Mother Talzin, just so many great visuals to look at and enjoy.
Yeah, there's a ton of great. Maul's rebirth with Mother Talzin doing the whole magic on him. Very shots of the spirits of the Night Sisters of the past coming back to fight Grievous. Man, a lot of great scary stuff.
I want to toss a couple out there from the Phantom Menace. Going to it's also the trailer shot, right? It's kind of one of the first things we got to experience for that film was the teaser trailer with the Gungans kind of marching out of the fog, right? Talking about music and the moment and everything there too, but just the shot and one of those, I think it's self-aware in this most wonderful way of like this epic war, this epic battle, this stand is about to happen. And here comes the Gungans marching out nice and slow and steady. Love that shot.
Yeah. Also very much one of the shots that ties them to the organic with it looks for a second like you're looking at some sort of, field of waving produce. And then grains. Yeah. Great.
David Mackay, I was going to jump to some Padme stuff too, but The Queen in the Window. Phantom Menace is the light dress.
Oh, yeah.
I was also going to say Padme and Jar Jar having their moment, looking out. Just love the framing of that. These two heroes making the tough call, but the Queen in the Window. That's an art piece.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's true. There's a ton of great Padme shots. In Attack the Clones, her waiting for Anakin in hugging him, and then we just seen their shadows across the homestead. That's a great shot.
Yeah, their little romp, Padme and Anakin's romp together in Attack of the Clones. I remember laughing at the time, but when I watch that now, I'm like, that's really freaking gorgeous. That's gorgeous shots.
There's a real good fast push in on Padme in the cauldron about to be melted. That I always
I love that. Yes. Yeah, they use that a lot of that because last time we were talking about the push-ins on the lats and the Battle of Geonosis, which I loved and was like, Saving Private Ryan. But you're right, he has the Padme one too. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they weren't always possible, but they would have been differently possible for Ben Burt at the time because they were filming on digital. Yeah,
I have one. Box office Jack. I'm sure it was mentioned, but in The Force Awakens, Rey's vision, and it was in the trailer. The shot of Kylo with the Knights of Ren in the dark and rain. Such a cool shot that sadly was never expanded on. I love that shot. I always liken it to like a dance battle boy band moment. Just the way that the camera moves, right? And like their stances. I just want them to start battling through dance.
Okay.
And yeah,
I'm with you.
Right.
What is it about the Knights of Ren? Because like there's that shot in Rise of Skywalker 2 where they're on the cliff and the camera's circling around them, and I swear a Creed song should start.
Built Ford tough.
There's just something about them that's total boy band.
I love it. America's Best Dance Crew. Make it happen. I wish that they had expanded on the Knights of Ren more, which I'm sure they have been in the comics or books or whatever. But like live action. That's what I wanted.
Yeah, I get it. No, absolutely. That vision was intriguing. A lot of questions raised, which is totally fine.
Yeah. The shot from the trailer of The Force Awakens that isn't entirely in the movie, the reveal of Kylo's blade. Pull back in the stomp and the ignition of all three blades. It's the shot is in the movie, but it's slightly different. But the one in the trailer is like more exciting, I think. Yeah, a lot of people have mentioned the forest battle in the Force Awakens, and the blue light on Rey's face, and I agree. I think that's one of those scenes that like it would have been cool if they're in real woods, but the fact that it was on a set gives it this sort of otherworldly quality that does make it feel like a fantasy storybook, like they are fighting in the pages of Brothers Grimm. And I love that about that whole sequence.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And just the lightsaber going across her, everything just little. You're able to freeze frame and get some wonderful moments in that sequence too. I love that. A couple coming in here from Brian Ward brings. I saw this mentioned before. The stranger floating down in the background behind whichever twin it was. LOL was pretty memorable. Yeah. Talk about great intros, Jen.
That shot. I mean, I could just watch that over and over again. Joseph, you were the one that said it's reminiscent of Dracula, right?
Yeah, me and many other human beings, but yes, absolutely.
I just loved it. I was terrifying. There were so many like creepy moments in the Acolyte that I just really appreciated.
Yeah, it's shot really well. Yeah.
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Maybe the stranger can do a duet with Knights of Ren.
The Knights of Ren?
Or maybe he takes them on. It's maybe like if it's a dance battle, the stranger.
Yes.
He's all by himself.
Yes, because Manny Jacinto is a great dancer. Make it happen.
There you go.
Oh my gosh.
There you go. Buddy Ken Plume says the shot of the battered and weathered clone trooper helmet painted in Ahsoka markings half buried in snow at the end of the Clone Wars. Yeah. Yeah. Such an emo album cover. I loved it. It was so good. So good, that whole sequence. Love that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is good. Let's Fat Nick, 11:38. Mando and the child. Final shot of
I
chapter 1.
was
Grogu
just
reaching
saying.
for Mando from the crown, and Mando reaching back. Oh my gosh! Do you guys remember what that moment was when you saw that for the first time? I lost my mind.
Yes.
Yeah, because that actual final shot, that profile shot was so good, it got me out of all of the other thoughts, right? Because the reveal happens and like, oh, it's a Yoda. Like we had been told that there was some secret that the show wasn't what anybody thought it was, and I didn't know. Nobody had told me anything but that, but a bunch of people had said there's a secret about the show. So I'm waiting. It's like, this is great, amazing, fun. What's the secret? And then I had that emotional. I wasn't sure. Like, oh, a Yoda. Where are we going with this? And then the shot immediately brought it back to story.
Yeah.
To have the reaching out, both of them reaching toward one another is so good.
Yeah. I guess maybe years on, I won't reveal the sources, but about 2-3 weeks prior, I've been told that there's a Yoda in the show, not even baby Yoda. But it was one of those, it's a scoop stuff and you don't know what's real or not. And so I kind of had this cynical, like, how are they going to do that? And then the reveal, like you said, Joseph, it was not anything I expected, I didn't know it was that. And I think that moment for me overcame the being in my head about what was coming. And it's also why I don't love the scoop culture anymore, because I'd rather just experience it. But luckily, the art in that moment, the shot, everything about it, won it over for me.
Good job, Dave Filoni.
Yeah.
John Roberts says, the flashback to the night of 1,000 Tears on Mandalore with the KX droids looking a bit nightmarish.
Ooh.
Yeah. That is fantastic. Yeah, and I'm sure if I just got the chance to rewatch Book of Boba Fett more, I think there's a lot of great shots in there. But I do want to shout out his whole vision sequence with the lizard up the nose. That's incredibly well edited and constructed. Yeah. Like that's
No, I agree. No, just Tatooine can lend itself to a lot of beautiful shots. It's the desert of our souls, and we're always wandering across from it there.
Let's see. I want to make sure you show. A lot of people have shouted out this one, Andor the Eye, specifically.
Yeah.
The eye is happening in the sky, and the villagers watch as Imperials are guarding them. So much story told there while watching this beautiful shot. Yeah, really. Seeing some of those posts in real life of like, look at this beautiful thing. He still exists when horrible things are happening.
David goes to Cat Bane walking in from the desert. Absolutely agree with that. Wonderfully self-aware shot in the best of ways. Let's do this Western villain walking in.
I loved it. I thought it was so effective and so well done. I know that some people had critiques of how he looked, but I thought it was an achievement.
What do you
Nightmare fuel. Loved it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great. Oh, yeah. No, love that. Nuts to them, I say.
Oh, and getting excited about Jon Favreau directing Mandalorian and Grogu. We talk a lot about sort of the business of it and what's the story going to be. But hey, Jon Favreau's real good director. Season 2, episode 1, that aspect ratio change that he sneaks by on you. Talk about using the techniques of film to make you feel something, to make it explode off the screen. I'm really excited for. Hey, Mando, Grogu characters, canon, is it a good decision? Blah, 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 blah. Jon Favreau's a great director, and I'm excited to see the film he's going to direct.
I'm really glad you said that. It's maybe a separate conversation to dive into, especially after we see things that will no doubt come out of Celebration. But yeah, to him getting this big canvas, it's not anything against the small screen TV. Obviously, it's the place to be in the industry, but I'm really excited that we're going to go see him unhinged, unfettered, in putting together a movie.
Unleashed, more continue to come in. Ken, do you see any more that you want to grab?
A ton coming. You guys have been great today with all of it. We do got to roll soon here, but we have some other questions. A couple of them we'll get to here. So if you guys need to see any more scene ones, go for it. But I want to shout out JMB. Thanks for the super chat. If you guys could go on a second honeymoon trip or a vacation trip to any Star Wars location, where would it be? This is different than the where would you live in Star Wars question. But I think the answer is still the same. I don't enjoy camping, so I need a little bit of a cabin. So I'm still going to be at Bright Tree Village. I'm still going there for a vacation.
Do you think the Ewoks have plumbing, Ken?
That's my only concern. I got to go into town. I'll just have to go into town. Is there another town? Is there a town nearby? Watch Caravan of Courage. Maybe there's a town.
Yeah, I think for me it continues to be Naboo. Naboo would be pretty damn great. I would be just fine hanging out at Lake Como,
Yes.
Lake Space Como, which you visited in real life, right, Jennifer?
No, I haven't been to that part of Italy, but that was my answer as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to see George Clooney living the life out there in Lake Como.
Yeah.
That's right.
I think there's also probably like a White Lotus type resort on the other side of Scarif. Like there's the Imperial base, and then some rich people behaving poorly on the other side of Scarif.
Cam has Nyama before the port is passed. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Quick, couple more questions here. Mumbo Jimbo had this one. We want to do the update for everyone. Just in case you missed our previous updates, hey, ForceCenter, any of you going to Star Wars Celebration Japan? And then to Molly, they hope they run into you and Alex there. We are not, the three of us, at the end of the day, not gonna be able to head to Japan for Star Wars Celebration this year. I'm going to have a massive amount of FOMO once I see all the shots. I will say I have some thoughts on the panels that are going to be out there. And I'm okay that there isn't a giant showcase panel. I'm kind of good with that. But yeah, interesting panel selections there in terms of the big panels. So everyone should head out to see Scotty J. Rose midi-chlorian panel. Don't forget that one there. But anyways, we will unfortunately not be there, but we'll be there in spirit.
Yeah, I would have really loved to go. My wife and I really talked about it, really considered it. My brother-in-law, for his work, has spent a lot of time in Japan. He was telling me like, oh, you got to go. Here's all the things to do. And part of it for us is I'm trying to finish the film. My wife's got some work stuff, but also like if we went, we would want to stay for like a good week and a half and see more of Japan. I couldn't bear to. I would love to be there for Star Wars Celebration, but in terms of my first trip to Japan, and that might be we didn't get a chance to talk about the schedule. It is a little lighter, and honestly, if I was there, I'd kind of be happy about it because I want to have all the Star Wars fun, and then I want to be like, how many places can we get sake with Alex and Molly? You know?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah. Don't have. I'm like the biggest thing is the lack of a giant Lucasfilm showcase panel, but I think that's okay. We didn't always have that. They didn't always need that, and we will get some announcements. Obviously, new animation coming. That would be cool.
Yeah, putting the focus on the next thing with Mandalorian and Grogu is great. And if they don't have a bunch of things to announce for a Lucasfilm panel, then I'm glad that they're not trying to force one when they don't have an Indiana Jones reboot up their sleeve or whatever.
Other stuff coming in, but we do have to get rolling. But Ken Plymouth super chat. Thank you for super chat. Favorite shot to recreate with action figures. I'm trying to think. I did this with my G.I. Joes a lot. Less with Star Wars. Because of where I lived at that time, it'd have to be indoor stuff. Because I had like a little pine tree in the backyard, so I could recreate indoor.
I had the Dagobah playset, which I loved. So lots of Luke floating things.
My mind went to the Spaceballs scene.
We ain't found bleep. Like what are we talking about?
No, remember?
Oh, in the desert?
Oh no, dark helmet. Is that character, right?
Yeah,
and he's like playing with the action figures, and then they just barge in on him. That's what I thought of. Not that I did that, but that was a scene that came to mind. Spaceballs.
Hey, great if you did. It'd be all right. It'd be all right. There we go. All right. I think that's it. Yeah, Molly says we'll be there. Might have more free time without many announcements. So y'all run up and meet Alex and Molly. Though if they do a meetup, give them all some space. All right. We don't want a London thing again where I feared for Molly and Alex's safety. Give them some breathing room.
We do have to get going. Steve, want to acknowledge this other center questions. We are open to other center questions. I will cut and paste this one and we'll make a note of it to talk about sometime soon because it's a really fun question. Thank you for that, Steve.
That'd be great. All right. I think we did it. We went live. We taped a news episode. Jen is finally not pixelated right here at the end.
Yes, because I uploaded finally.
It's all good, all good. Hey, you know where to find us if you're listening. Been here for a bit, but in case you don't, we can be found on Blue Sky ForceCenter Pod. Subscribe here on YouTube, like the video, leave a comment later on. Let us know what what you feel. Podcast is available in a lot of spots. Don't forget that you can get the audio version only of Databank Brawl Redo, and support us on Patreon at patreon.com/ForceCenter. All right. That's it. We gotta go. Bye.